Max Chandler-Mather, thank you for your time. What went wrong in Queensland?
Well, first thing to say is our vote's up a little bit statewide. It's also up in a few of our target areas, but you're right, it fell short in a bunch of areas, and it's an open question about whether or not we hold on to South Brisbane. Look, I think part of it is that obviously Labor adopted a lot of the policies that we were campaigning on, including 50-cent fares. I think that's a good thing though, to be honest, because 50-cent fares on public transport improves people's lives. But the honest answer is we don't have all the answers yet. So of course we're going to have a long, honest look at our politics and our strategy and make sure we're doing everything right. And a key part of that will be getting honest feedback from the communities that we represent and we want to represent.
So far, what do you think are some of the lessons that you've learned?
To be frank, I think it's difficult to exactly say what happened because we're less than a week out from that election, and we want to be really careful about making sure we learn the right lessons. And a key way of learning the right lessons is making sure we talk to as many people in Queensland and the electorates that we represent. Go back to our free community dinners that we're running, our free school breakfasts, our regular community barbecues, our door knocking, and the first question we'll be asking is there anything you'd like us to be doing differently? Is there anything you think we should be doing differently going into the federal election? What's your feedback? Why didn't you vote Greens this time when previously you had?
How much responsibility do you take for your role in this result?
Oh, look, I think that it's a big party here in Queensland. Obviously, I'm a public figure in that, and if there's anything I could do differently, of course, I'd be open to that feedback. Again, I think humility in politics is an important thing. And look, if there's things I can be doing differently and members of the community think so, of course, I have to be open for that.
There's been some criticism of your position on the Middle East, blocking housing reform, appearing at the CFMEU rally. How much of an impact do you think those actions had here in Queensland?
Well, look, just quickly first on housing, I think it's important to note that we actually passed Labor's housing fund last year in return for securing $3 billion of social housing funding, 6 times more than Labor wanted. And this year, we still haven't voted on Labor's help to buy legislation. That vote comes on November 26. And I do think people want politicians to work together to find solutions to these crises, and that's what we're trying to do. We don't expect to get everything, but we would like, just like last year, a little bit of a marginal improvement. Look, with regards to the Middle East and Palestine, one of the key pillars of our party is peace. And certainly we are unabashed in our push to make sure that we end the massacre and serious war crimes that are being committed in Gaza at the moment. We think that's crucial, and Australia has a responsibility to play a part in that. And look, with regards to the CFMEU, we have a principle that we wanted to stand up for, and what we spoke out about was protecting the rule of law and natural justice, and we felt like the legislation that Labor was passing really offended that and put that at threat, and so that principle for us is really important.
What do you say to comments that the Greens have drifted away from its core environmental policies in favour of a more radical agenda?
Well, with regards to our environmental policies, that's still front and centre. Climate change and the impact that it's going to have on the Australian environment is critical. Remember, in the lead up to the last federal election, the devastating Brisbane floods. We don't know what this summer is going to look like, but I'm worried. And that's partly as a result of both sides of politics' failure to take climate change seriously. Emissions are higher now under this Labor government than they were under Scott Morrison. And that's a really critical, serious concern and core to what our party believes in.
For the upcoming federal election, will your strategy change? Will you now have to defend seats and not look at gaining any?
Well, we always were going to play a big part in and a big focus in making sure we hold on to our 3 new federal seats in Queensland. We can't take anything for granted. We do have a good chance in Moreton as well with a retiring Labor MP, and also the state results there saw swings to us in every state seat under Moreton.
Are you worried about your re-election prospects?
Oh, look, I'm a first-term MP. I can't take anything for granted. And we've got to make sure we work as hard as we possibly can.
Max Chandler-Mather, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.